A very good evening to one and all. I welcome you all to this news analysis initiative. These are the articles that are important from today's newspaper. We will move on to the first one. Now, the President has approved a new law that replaces MNREGA, the rural job scheme that has existed since 2005. And the new law is called as Vikshit Bharat Guarantee for Rozgar and Ajivika Mission Gramin, or simply to say VBG Ramji Bill. Okay, now it has turned into an act after the President assent. According to the government, this new law increases guaranteed work days from 100 to 125 days for rural households. The government says the scheme is not just about giving work but about creating real results in villages. Under the new law, work will mainly focuses on four areas. This is to be noted. Water security like ponds and irrigation, core rural infrastructure such as roads and basic facilities, livelihood related infrastructure which helps people earn income, and finally protection against extreme weather like floods and droughts. And the centre government is going to be continuing as the main funding partner following the 60-40 cost sharing model which is used in most central schemes. Earlier under MNREGA, the centre paid the full wages. States paid about 10% of cost mainly for administration purposes. Whereas now the central government also says the new law is going to strengthen the unemployment allowance, introduces penalties for delayed wages, and has a budget allocation of over 1.5 lakh crore rupees for village development. See the next article for the day. Railways to hike fare from December 26. Okay. Here we have to know that cross subsidization is one thing that is very familiar in railways. And railways spent 98.3 rupees to earn 100 rupees. Okay, so this is the current scenario of railways. So now they are trying to raise the fare for this. See, what exactly is changing is if you travel in ordinary class for more than 215 kilometers, the fare will go up by 1 paisa per kilometer. If you travel in non-AC mail or express trains, the increase will be 2 paise per kilometer. Okay, that same 2 paise per kilometer hike applies to AC classes as well. So you can take this keyword, reliable public transport as solution to pollution. Just note the statement. This you can use it for air pollution reforms or way forward. You can use that. See this case study which you can use it in your essay or in ethics paper. Tihar's adoption plan seeks to help released prisoners rebuild lives. Okay. See, right now, once a prisoner completes the sentence and walks out of jail, there is no proper system to support them. They may have learned skills inside jail, but there is no follow up to see whether they get jobs, food, or shelter outside. To fix this gap, Tihar jail authorities are proposing a first of its kind adoption scheme. Under this plan, NGOs will adopt released prisoners for at least 1 year after they come out of jail. During this period, the NGOs will help them with food, temporary shelter, counseling, and guidance for jobs or livelihoods. The aim is simple: make reintegration into society smoother and safer, especially during the critical first year after release. And this is not entirely new because in the Mullah committee report had recommended aftercare units for released prisoners. It is very important in public administration law and order as well as in GS2. Okay. But even after 4 decades of that committee report, such a system was never properly created. The Tihar jail currently houses over 18,000 inmates, and although occasional training is provided inside jail, officials admit they have no data on what happens to prisoners after release. So under the proposed scheme, the Tihar jail will sign MOUs with selected NGOs. Only specific categories of prisoners will be eligible. Okay. The scheme will exclude prisoners with gang links. It will focus on prisoners involved mainly in circumstantial cases. Eligibility will depend on good conduct in jail and a willingness to learn skills. See, overall, the plan recognizes that punishment alone is not enough. Without support after release, prisoners remain vulnerable. This scheme aims to give them time, stability, and dignity to rebuild their lives. This is a very interesting example. You can use it in your mains answer. Policing the youth using wit, pop culture. Okay, Delhi police has started using humor, memes, and pop culture to connect better with young people, especially on social media platforms like Instagram. Instead of giving boring lectures, they create short, funny videos using trending songs, reels, and memes. The idea is simple. The young people pay more attention when messages are fun and familiar. And the next article for the day is Unlocking the Potential of India-Africa Economic Ties. India's recent visits to African countries like Namibia and Ghana as a part of High Nation Tour, including Trinidad and Tobago, Argentina and Brazil. In July 2025, this happened. These visits show that Africa is becoming very important for India, especially in economic terms. For a long time, India's exports have depended heavily on US and Europe. Together, they take about 40% of India's exports. But these markets are now uncertain. Slow growth, trade restrictions, and geopolitical tensions. So, India needs new, reliable markets, and Africa fits the role perfectly. And today, India is Africa's fourth largest trading partner with trade close to $100 billion. India exports things like petroleum products, medicines, engineering goods, rice, and textiles. But if we compare this with China, we clearly lag behind. China trades over $200 billion with Africa and supplies high value industrial goods like machineries and electronics. That is why India has set a target to double trade with Africa by 2030. To achieve this, a 5-point strategy is suggested. First, India should reduce trade barriers and sign trade agreements with African regional groups and major economies. This will make Indian goods cheaper and more competitive. Second, India must move beyond exporting raw or low value goods. Indian companies should set up manufacturing units and joint ventures in Africa. This will help in two ways: access to African markets and easier entry into Western markets through Africa. Third, Africa is a bigger opportunity for MSMEs. Unlike the US or Europe, African markets are more accessible. But MSMEs need easy trade finance, credit lines, insurance, and local currency trade to reduce risk. Number 4, logistics costs are high. India needs to invest in ports, shipping routes, and maritime corridors connecting India and Africa to reduce freight cost. Number 5, India should expand services trade, IT, healthcare, education, skill development, and digital services. Services not only earn high value but also support goods trade. So, India's relationship with Africa must move beyond buying and selling. It should focus on long-term partnerships, shared growth, and mutual development. Okay, the next article for the day, Beyond the Optics, India must push its vision for a shared global order across region. This article says that India's recent high-level visits to Jordan, Ethiopia, and Oman were not just about photos and diplomacy, but about shaping a larger global role. All three countries belong to the Global South, a group of developing nations where India wants to play a leadership role. These visits aim to strengthen economic ties, development partnerships, and political coordination in a world that is becoming more transactional and interest-driven. See, with Oman, a major outcome was the signing of the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. Trade between the two countries has already doubled to about $10 billion, and this deal is expected to help India move closer to a broader free trade agreement with the Gulf Cooperation Council. In Jordan, cooperation focused on renewable energy and water management. But the visit was also important politically because Jordan lies at the center of West Asia, a region affected by the Gaza conflict. In Ethiopia, the focus was on a strategic partnership, trade, technology exchange, and preparing for the next Africa-India summit. And Ethiopia matters because it hosts the African Union. It is part of BRICS. And it will be a key partner when India chairs BRICS in 2026. The next article for the day, Lessons from China on Tackling Pollution. China and India have both suffered from very bad air pollution for many years. At one point, Beijing was known worldwide for heavy smog, just like Delhi is today. But over the last decade, Beijing has managed to clean its air dramatically, while Delhi is still struggling. So the big question is, what did China do differently? China focused on three things. First, Clear and unified policies. Second, very strict enforcement. And third, coordination across regions. China used an airshed approach. It is a keyword, meaning Beijing worked together with nearby provinces like Tianjin and Hebei to control pollution across the whole region. Because of this coordinated effort, Beijing's PM 2.5 pollution levels fell by more than half in about 10 years. That is the four important things you can take from this article. See the next article for the day. Center rejects mining push charge behind Aravalli definition. See, the government is saying that the Aravalli hills are still largely protected and that there is no permission for large scale mining. It clarified that more than 90% of the Aravalli region will remain protected and new mining leases are completely frozen until a proper scientific management plan is prepared, as ordered by the Supreme Court. The confusion arose because a uniform definition of the Aravalli was finalized by a Supreme Court approved committee. And according to that definition, Aravalli Hill is land that rises 100 meters or more. And a range is a group of such hills close to each other. The government stressed that this does not mean areas below 100 meters are automatically open for mining. In fact, only 0.19% of the total Aravalli area could even be considered for mining, and that too under strict rules. See, the next article for the day is, for the first time, a freight train has directly brought food grains into Kashmir. This is important because it ensures a steady and reliable supply of essential food items, especially to remote and far-flung areas of the valley. It also improves food security, reduces transport delays, and lowers cost. See, this freight train marks a major milestone in Kashmir's connectivity, infrastructure development, and integration with the rest of the country. That's why it's the next article for the day. Environment Minister reviews measures to address human-wildlife conflict. See, India is strengthening its efforts to reduce conflicts between people and wild animals like tigers, elephants, and cheetahs. A high-level review meeting was held at the Sundarbans Tiger Reserve, where experts, forest officials, and scientists from different states came together. The focus was on two major wildlife programs. They are tiger conservation and elephant conservation. One thing to be highlighted is wildlife protection cannot work in isolation. It needs scientific planning, coordination across states, and active involvement of local communities who live near forest. Major concern is human-wildlife conflict, especially cases where tigers or elephants enter villages, damage crops, or cause loss of life. To address this, a three-pronged strategy was reviewed, which includes better monitoring of animal movement, quick response teams to prevent conflict, and support and compensation for affected communities. The next article for the day. Speedy justice eludes consumers seeking redress against sellers. See, why consumers are not getting quick justice in consumer courts? That is the major issue. Consumer courts were created so that ordinary people could get fast and affordable justice when cheated by sellers, companies, or service providers. But in reality, this is not happening anymore. Many consumers are stuck in long-running cases that drag on for years. What consumers are facing is people have to travel long distances repeatedly for hearings. Even after reaching court, cases are often not heard or get postponed by months. This leads to loss of money, time, and mental stress, especially for poor and middle class people. See, there are some real life examples that was mentioned in this article. The one example is a 60-year-old factory owner has been fighting an insurance case for nearly 10 years. He travels from Chandigarh to Delhi only to be told the hearing is postponed. Data shows that over 5.4 lakh consumer cases are pending across India. Every year, more new cases are filed than resolved, increasing the backlog as well. This happens even though the law says cases should be decided in 3 to 5 months. The main reasons for delay are vacancies in courts, hundreds of posts for presidents and members in consumer courts are empty, fewer judges means slower justice. Number 2 is lack of infrastructure, not enough courtrooms, staff, or modern digital systems. Number 3, procedural delays. Notices are not delivered on time, parties asking for repeated adjournments, late submission of documents. And number 4, technical nature of cases. Many disputes need expert opinions like medical, engineering, or insurance. This leads to further delays. The next article is a model tribal school, which you can use it as an analogy in your essays. It is a wonderful analogy which you can definitely use it as your introduction in essays. Okay. See, this story is about a small tribal school in Maharashtra that completely changed the lives of children. However, it is now at risk because of water shortage, but we will stick to the storyline, okay? In a remote tribal village called Hivali in Nashik district, there is a Zilla Parishad school that runs every single day of the year for 12 hours a day. There are no holidays. Teachers and students come daily. The school provides 2 meals, education and care. So children don't have to migrate with their parents for work. Because of this school, seasonal migration has stopped, dropout rate became 0, children are doing far above their age level, girls are respected, every house now displays the daughter's name. The village became a zero addiction village. Teachers from over 100 schools came to learn from this model. Some parents even moved houses closer to the village just so their children could study here. But now the problem is there is a serious water crisis. There is not enough water in the village, the land is rocky, so groundwater storage is difficult. Teachers fear that if water problem continues, the school may not function properly. Families may start migrating again. Years of progress may be undone. The teachers and the villagers are asking for a small, low-cost structure to store river water and solar power to support daily operations. Okay, and this also looks like a good ethics case study also. So make a note of it. Next article for the day is Southern Ocean Carbon Anomaly reveals what models can still miss. See, for many years, climate scientists believed as global warming increases, stronger winds over the Southern Ocean would pull up carbon-rich deep water to the surface, which would then release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So, according to the computer models, the Southern Ocean was expected to absorb less carbon dioxide and possibly even become a source of emission. What actually happened then? Surprisingly, the opposite happened. Since the early 2000s, the Southern Ocean has been absorbing more carbon, not less. Instead of worsening climate change, it has continued to act as a carbon sink. This puzzled scientists because it contradicted long-standing climate models. Now, why is this Southern Ocean so important? It covers about 1/4 of the world's ocean. It absorbs around 40% of all the carbon dioxide taken up by oceans globally. It acts like a buffer slowing global warming. Even small changes here can have huge climate impacts. And what did the new study discover? They found that deep carbon-rich water is indeed rising, just as models predicted. Deep waters have moved about 40 meters upward. Carbon dioxide pressure below the surface has increased. So models were not completely wrong. But the missing place is they missed a thin layer of fresh water at the ocean's surface. This happened because of more rainfall and melting Antarctic glaciers. Fresh water is lighter than salty water, so it stays on top, forming a kind of a protective lid. This lid prevents deep carbon-rich water from reaching the surface and traps the carbon dioxide below instead of letting it escape into the air. So even though deep water is rising, it cannot release its carbon. The next is the term in news, superkilonova. A superkilonova is an extremely powerful space explosion, even rarer than the already rare kilonova. Normally, a kilonova happens when two neutron stars collide. This collision throws out matter that creates heavy elements like gold and platinum and produces a short-lived burst of light. A superkilonova goes one step further. It has extra energy, making it brighter, bluer, and longer lasting than a normal kilonova. How the double whammy happens. Scientists think it occurs in two ways. One is the fallback heating. After two neutron stars merge, some material falls back onto the merged object. This extra heating makes the explosion brighter than a normal kilonova. The second is the supernova plus kilonova. That is a new idea. First, a massive star explodes as a supernova, forming two neutron stars. Soon after, these two neutron stars merge, creating a kilonova. The combined effect produces a super kilonova, a rare two-stage explosion. See, from prelims perspective, just know what is a kilonova and a super kilonova. That is more than enough. That's all for today. Thank you all for joining.